Well, good afternoon. My name is Dr. John Hendron, Director of Public Relations for PDK International and Educators Rising. We're so pleased to have you on this afternoon's webinar. This webinar will be recorded, so if you have colleagues who were unable to join us at this point in time, our usual practice is to send a recording out to everybody who registered for our webinars. We have a number of webinars planned for this. I'm going to call it spring, even though in my location, Richmond, Virginia, we're expecting 23 inches of snows by some measure this weekend. And so it does not feel like spring, but if you were to go to our website right now, between January and April, we're doing 8 different webinars to give you information about the different facets of our Educators Rising program. And I am so humbled to have 2 special guests with us who will appear on camera in a few moments, Milan Aranda and Journey Harris. I found an image of Milan at the podium at the 2024 Educators Rising Conference. And not to leave Journey out, we've got one here with some of her colleagues and one of our special guest speakers at the same conference. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our organization and what we do for schools, and then we'll get in and start talking to 2 of our past members, and they happen to be our 2 national presidents, which we're really excited about to share their story with you. So the reality is today, if you are a teacher yourself, if you are a teacher leader, I saw somebody in the audience as a school board member, we know the importance of having good quality teachers in front of our students. It's the number one determinant of student academic success, is to have access to a great teacher. And we want them to have access to a great teacher every day. As they get to secondary education, we want them to have a great teacher in every block or period of the day. But the reality is there's a teacher shortage that isn't going away. I spent 21 years in public education in various roles, but we always had issues each year getting quality educators. In my case, we went to neighboring states and did recruitment efforts at colleges, try to recruit people away from those states into our own. At some point, we also hired in educators who came from international backgrounds. And, you know, the reality is 60% of educators end up teaching within 20 miles of where they themselves went to high school. But we know if you're in Nevada, Utah, Arizona, California, Florida, Alaska, Idaho, Ohio, Oregon, or Alabama, those right now are the top states where the teacher shortage is being felt. And what we offer is a grow your own solution. So one of the things I'm really proud of is we give a lot of voice to students in our organization, and they come up with our theme each year. Our theme this year is to teach with purpose, to lead with passion. And I hope it comes across to you through the medium of Zoom, but the students who do end up coming to our organization through their school chapters, who end up competing at state events, and some who come to our national events, they are very inspired and passionate young people that we are so fortunate to get to work with, to cultivate their interest and background in education. If you don't know a lot about us, we were founded back in the 1930s by the National Education Association as the Future Teachers of America. This past year, we celebrated 10 years as Educators Rising. We currently have 39 state affiliations, which means in those 39 states, students can participate in more localized events. Our student membership is over 20,000, and we have chapters predominantly in high schools. We also have districts that have started programs in their middle schools to feed into their high school program. And then we follow students to support them through Educators Rising Collegiate and through the NEA's Aspiring Educators chapters. And how do we do this work? We have built up a pretty effective model that we call the 5 C's, through school chapters, through really excellent high quality curriculum, building community, not only across the nation, but on the ground within your individualized communities through the competitions and conference events that we do. These 5 things come together to help students experience what an education career would be like, whether they want to be uh, to work in school counseling, whether they want to go into the librarian, whether they want to be a instructional coach, or whether they want to be, obviously, many of them come to us very interested in being in front of students in a classroom. And so we're helping students, as many CTSOs do, to come to find whether this is a great fit for them. 80% of our students at our last time that we asked told us they're still interested in an education career in their future after going through our program. 100% of our students don't become teachers, and that's okay. This is the time for them to test this out and to see if it's for them. The other thing I'll say is that some of our students find that they have a passion for education, but they also have a passion for something else. We talked recently to a young lady who was interested in becoming a nurse. And she says, I really am divided. I'm not sure what I should do when I go to college. And we told her, hey, there's nothing wrong with being a nurse. If you want to do that, certainly you can explore that, but you could do that within a school environment. And so obviously, as you know, as educators on the call, there are many opportunities out there for students to be able to be in front of, be around young people and influence their futures. I want to talk a little about the America's Talent Strategy. This is something that was just recently announced by the Department of Education and Department of Labor together. And I wanted to show you just a little bit about how we align to that plan. One of the things that's really emphasized is being career connected and offering students opportunities for work-based learning. So career and technical student organizations like ours support early learning and training experiences. Our students get opportunities to teach younger students within their district. We call that work-based learning. They get opportunities to student teach before they go to college and to see if that's really for them. Second, we provide that advanced experience, right? Right in high school, they're getting access to how to do that. If you are a teacher leader who's running an EdRising chapter, you get resources from us to know how to do that well. So even if you're interested in doing it and you've never done it before, we're there to help you along that pathway. Third, Educators Rising provides career exploration experiences. And our students come to learn that there, as I said, a wide variety of careers out there, and they are exposed to many of them. In some chapters, they do a really good job at doing job shadowing, so students can see what the life of an administrator is or another role within their district. The second thing that's in that document is credentialing and competencies. Educators Rising curriculum is aligned with standards that we developed over a course of multiple years in concert with national partners. We feel these are very strong and they form the bedrock not only for our curriculum, but also for our competitions and our micro-credentials. The beginning to teach micro-credentials have been around for a while. We've just updated them in the past year. It's a 5-credential stack. Not everybody takes advantage of those, but more recently, we've had a number of institutes of higher education come to us wanting to use those to help students defer the cost of their college education by completing the credentials, by going through an EdRising program. They can have significant savings for the cost of their college education, defer basically testing out of some of the basic education courses that would be required in those programs. Third, Education Rising students, when we've done some pop-up testing, we've done this for 2 years, our students are out testing the national averages for Parapro Core, which in many states is the first teaching credential exam you take, and also for Parapro. In 23 states, Parapro is the CTE completer for education training pathways, and it's used in even more states to hire paraprofessionals. And one of our past national officers told us, she's starting her journey into higher ed by working as a parapro on the side and taking classes simultaneously. So not only is she getting the practical experience by working, she's also working towards her degree so that she can fulfill her dream of becoming a teacher. And then lastly, alignment with industry needs. Students want to work in their own district many times. Sometimes they don't. Many schools will start a program because they want that pipeline opened up so students come back. We find that the most successful programs have options for students to have either guaranteed interviews or even sometimes guaranteed hiring within that district. And that, of course, invites them to come back. And if you're worried about, teacher diversity, your students are going to reflect your community when you're inviting them to come back to work within that community. Second, Educators Rising students have a thorough knowledge of related education careers. Again, our emphasis is on teaching, but they get access to see the whole gamut of what's available to them. And then lastly, in alignment with industry needs, we are constantly updating the materials that we make available to our teacher leaders, whether it's just chapter materials and how to create a great thriving chapter, up to the optional materials that we produce that are offered through a subscription base. I do want to pause here just for a moment to tell you that if you have questions throughout this afternoon's webinar, we like to use the Q&A tool in Zoom. That tool allows you to park your questions, and then we will pause before we end today and make sure that all the questions are answered. Finally, I want to tell you about the resource that we think is the crown jewel in our portfolio, and that's the Educators Rising curriculum. This was developed back starting 10 years ago when I told you we were Educators Rising, and it's now been updated over 3 major updates, and our last update just came out last year. This is aligned to the 7 standards that you see there, which are also the 7 standards that underlie our competitions that students compete in. And as a national organization, obviously the ability to go to nationals and compete against other top students across the nation is a very exciting experience. And I'll ask our 2 guests this afternoon to speak a little bit more about that. But our curriculum is available as a full 2-year program. It's a flexible program. It's delivered through PowerPoint decks. And because it's PowerPoint, it means as a teacher, you're free to tailor those resources to your needs in your district. One of the upcoming webinars that we have later in beginning of February is exactly about how a district out in Washington has tailored their pathway program based on the needs of both their students and their district in terms of hiring. If you're not familiar with our curriculum, I would advise you to take a look at our website. And there's also a form if you'd like some more information or if you'd like pricing on this, but this is one of the optional components that we offer districts, which is very attractive to those who are starting the education training pathway and don't quite know where to start, right? You get that teacher who's been assigned now to teach the class, like, wait a minute, I need some resources. These are high quality resources that are going to grow with you over time. So our 2 special guests, and I told them when the red slide came up, this is the time for them to turn on their cameras. But I am so pleased that we have not just 2 past students who are now pursuing, I still hope it's their dream to become educators. Milan Aranda was the 2023-2024 Educators Rising national president. And alongside her, we have tonight Journey Harris, who was the 2024-2025 Educators Rising national president. These 2 ladies, I don't know what spawned them to apply. We just went through the process of going for the next year, saying, hey, you can apply to become a national officer. But they rallied forth. They put their name hat in the ring. Their peers elected them to become national officers to represent basically the future of education. So microphones on. Milan and Journey, I want to welcome you to our webinar. I'm going to stop sharing so they can stop seeing the still picture of you and see your real faces. So, first of all, welcome.
Thanks,
Thank you.
John.
Milan, I'll start with you. How's it going, and where are you going to school right now?
Hello, it's going really good. I'm currently a junior at Northwest Missouri State University. It's in Maryville, which is a little small town in Missouri.
But you were a student in Nebraska, if I remember correctly, when you were going to school.
E- I went to high school in Nebraska. I'm from Omaha.
Okay,
Um, yeah.
okay. And Journey, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I am also in my junior year of college. I go to Tarleton State University in Texas, and I'm actually a paraprofessional during the day, and I go to night school. So,
Awesome. So you're one of those folks that are taking advantage of the opportunity to earn experience while you're studying the book side of education.
yeah,
I was wondering if Journey, I'll start with you. If you could tell me a little bit about what your high school EdRising experience was like before you became the national president.
of course. Well, when I was a freshman in high school, I actually had no idea what I wanted to be, and so I didn't enroll in any CTE courses. And then my sophomore year came around, and at my school, you had to pick your CTE courses by your sophomore year. So my counselor was like, you have to pick, you have to pick. I actually picked nursing and education. I enrolled in both classes. And within a week, I dropped nursing and went full education. And within 2 weeks, became the president of my EdRising chapter. And then that's just kind of history. And from then on, I was leading and working and just making strides in education.
Awesome. Milan, how about what was your high school experience like with EdRising?
So my chapter is about 30 kids. We don't have like CTE programs at my high school. I think they just started getting into that this year, but when I went there, there was it. So one of our education classes, like a child development class, was a part of EdRising. So like once you were in that class, you were also a part of EdRising and you had to compete. I was in that my sophomore year, and then junior year, I became my chapter president. Um, but I've been involved with EdRising since my freshman year of high school.
Awesome. So I've already mentioned you both served as the national president of Educators Rising. My question for you both, what did you learn through your year of service towards the organization?
Um, I can go first.
Okay.
So my time as president was like one of the best years of my life. I was initially not going to run for a national officer. I remember going to my first national conference and being like, oh my gosh, these people like do so much. I can never ever do that. And then after my state year as president, my advisors were like, you should really go for national. And so I was just like, okay, I'll do it. And I'm so glad they pushed me to do that. I learned how important it is to like say yes to everything because if you want to take advantage of every opportunity you can. I think it was a good experience since my major is special education. I learned how to work together as a team. You work really closely with your officer team and Jose, who's our advisor. You really just do everything together. So it's like you learn how to bounce ideas off each other. If something's too much on your plate, like how to split up ideas with each other. And then I also learned how important it is to like put yourself out there and make those lifelong connections. I got to go to so many conferences and I'm still in touch with a lot of people that I met at those conferences. So I think is that's some things that are really important that I learned.
I appreciate the fact that you talked about um, an educator. It's not always an educator. Sometimes it's a friend, sometimes our parents, but they push you to do something that's like, just go for it. And
Mhm.
I know that was important my growing up as well. Journey, how about you? What stands out from your year as
I was
president?
kind of the same way. I was president of my chapter, but I never was a regional officer or a state officer. And then the summer of my not the summer my freshman year of college, I happened to just and I do remember like before sitting in the audience of Ed Rising and just being like, I would never do that, like that's something I would never do. And my freshman year of college, I saw the applications and I remember just like joking around with my roommates, and I was like, I should do it just to see what happens. And I did, and it went a little bit further. And then I was like, well, there's no way I'll make it to the bottom four. And then I did. And then I was like, well, there's no way I'll become president. And then I did. And so I got very nervous very fast because I didn't think I was capable of all the things that I had seen Milan do the year before. And I learned very quickly that it's very important to lean on those around you. My officer team became some of my best friends, and I still get a little bit emotional. There's some videos from us at nationals crying after we left the stage, but that was just how special the year was for us, and how much we leaned on each other. I still call my officers to this day and talk to them on the phone. And Lexi Lieb and I were just talking a few days ago, just catching up on life. And I think that that was the biggest lesson I learned, is to lean on those around you, not just my officer team, but all the people around me. Because there's a picture actually that makes me think of this. There's a picture, and Texas always takes a big state picture at the national conference, and there's a picture where it's all of Texas and I'm standing in the middle and they're all pointing at me. And to me, that's just so foundational, because that was my lesson in my year of presidency, is I have so many people to lean on, and I try to do everything on my own and try to be perfect. And I have so many people supporting me. So I need to calm down and like let them support me.
So I think what you've both shared are important lessons for any of our EdRising students, even if they don't aspire to become a national officer, is make friends, build those relationships, try putting yourself out there and doing new things and see where it goes. The worst you can do is fail. You dust yourself off and you try again. So I'm glad you both listened to your inner heart and decided to put yourself forward to do that. I know a lot of students might be afraid, maybe they wouldn't say afraid, but a little bit nervous about what life in college is like, especially if they don't have a sibling who got there before them. Um, Others, of course, I've heard are really excited to get out of the house. They can't wait to go to college. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about one great thing that's happened to you as part of your college experience. And Journey, I'll pick you first since Milan started the last one.
Yeah, when I left for college, I actually had a very hard time with it. I was very involved in high school. I was on a dance team and had Ed Rising and all the things. And so when I left high school, I had no clue what was next. I knew I was going to go live somewhere. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. The light in here keeps going off. I'm at the school and the lights are like censored. Anyways, um, I knew that I was going to go live with some random roommates in a dorm and go to school, but I had no idea what it would be like. And I was just very scared. But I would say that I have fallen into I've fallen into a mood of like, I love college so much, but I'm so, so excited for what comes after. And I think that that's something that's really big, because when you're in college, either you love college or you don't really love college. There's not like a there's not like an in between. Like, you either don't like it or you do like it. And I was kind of falling towards that. I don't like it, but then I reminded myself, and that was the biggest lesson I had to learn, was this isn't just school. Like, this is leading somewhere. Like, there is something at the end of the tunnel. And I would have to say that the biggest thing that has happened to me while I've been in college and took a lot of courage for me is I actually, like I mentioned, when I was president, I was not a paraprofessional. And this past semester, I made the decision to move home, go to night school, become a paraprofessional. And that was a really, really big decision for me, because I don't really like change, and that was changing everything up. And I think that that was really big for me, but I don't think that I could have made that decision without the lessons that I had learned through my presidency and things like that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Milan, what about you?
I would just say college is like such an interesting time. You're fresh out of school. I was like freshly 18, and like you're with like all these random people you don't know. I go to school 2 hours away from home. And so it was like a big adjustment. I would say like I've really like found myself, and like you really learned so much about yourself. I definitely love it here and I love school. I'm really sad to like go student teach. But I would say the best thing is for me that happened was I became like a student coordinator for it's an organization called Activities and Recreation. So it's a part of your Intro to Special Education class, which every education major has to take it at my school. And you need 5 hours of service with adults with disabilities or children with disabilities. So every Tuesday and Wednesday on campus, I lead activities and recreation with another student. And that's where adults with disabilities from group homes in town come and they participate in activities we have planned and games. And we can do things like campus, go to basketball games, just we all interact together. So that's been like a really amazing thing, cool thing, something that I never thought I'd be able to do. And just giving me great experience for like life too.
Awesome. Well, our hope at Educators Rising and PDK is that, your experience in high school better prepares you to not only be an educator, but hopefully that it enhances your experience when you're going for your teaching credentials in college. Could you each speak to how your EdRising experience may have made any aspect of your college experience better or easier? And what makes you think that's the case?
I would say in high school, as part of my class, we did have to compete in our competitions at the state level. So I did compete 1 year in high school. I was the state president the next year, so I couldn't compete since I was running the state conference. But I think doing those competitions and like having to speak in front of people and then follow up questions by a judge and like doing interviews that really like prepped me for the real world. I remember helping my roommate freshman year going through her interview and she was like, I didn't know interviews are normally with like multiple people in the room. It's not just one on one. And so I think like being able to help my friends and peers and like it made me a better communicator. I would also say that doing Educators Rising and going to conferences and hearing different speakers, I feel like I was way more prepared than my peers were. I feel like I came in knowing a lot more things than my peers did. And then getting like shout outs from like my professors saying that like you did a really good job discussing in class today. Like you're really good at communicating this because like I've already learned all this from Ed Rising and I've already like practiced my communication with that. So I think those were really beneficial to me.
Great to hear. Attorney, about what about you?
For me in high school, I think that EdRising just really gave me a glimpse into what teaching was. And let's be honest, when you get to college, the first thing you have to do is all the algebra and random classes that nobody wants to do. But for me, when other students were getting burnt out with college and they were like, oh my goodness. Sorry, my light went off again. Anyways, when they were getting burnt out with college and they didn't really want to do it anymore, I already had that glimpse of what I was working for, and for them, it just seemed so out of reach because they had not experienced it yet. And so I would have to say that giving me an idea of what teaching looks like at such an early age allowed me to push through college even more. And I'm actually still involved in EdRising today. I'm competing in February at the state conference for Texas. And I think that that's just really helpful because like this year my project is or one of my projects is project visualize and I'm doing a service project and that just allows me to really reach into my community and work with the kids around me and just see like the potential that my college experience has rather than just doing my studies and moving on. And so I think that being able to work with students, even at this point in my career, my junior year of college, and being able to see that work being done before I even made it to college was really impactful for me.
Yeah, one of the things that I've heard anecdotally through many students is when they're sitting in a classroom, they've had these experiences. It's just a richer experience for them, and the answers that they're giving in class, like, well, when I did this before, and you're sitting next to folks who haven't had those experiences. Um, I can only imagine reflecting on my own, going through my program. I was telling Milan earlier, I went and got a degree in music, and then I decided I was going to go and become a music teacher. And I didn't have those experiences until my last part of the program where I got to go student teach. So I'm glad that you've had some of those experiences to reflect on, and it sounds it really has enabled you to, I would say in both cases, put yourself out there a little more, try some new things, kind of what you spoke about at the beginning, just having those experiences to tell yourself, yeah, I can do this. Is there anything else that you'd like students and educators rising now, if they were to listen to this, because we may take clips from your answers today and share them with them, um, to know about being prepared for their future? And keep it general like that. You can specifically make it about college, but um, since you're now probably thinking about what's next after college, as Journey mentioned, um, I'll leave the floor open.
I think it's important to know that there's no rule book for how college goes. There's no manual. No one hands you a big notebook and says, this is what you're going to do. And I think it's important to know that there's no right or wrong answer. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to decide that things aren't going to work for you. You may want to be a nurse and then you decide, hey, actually, I want to be a teacher again. And that's okay. College is made for making those mistakes and making those decisions. And I think it's really important to just allow yourself to do that. Like I said, I never, ever in a million years thought I would run for a national officer position, much less be elected as president. I never ever thought I would move home during my junior year to start my teaching career early, but I did. And it's just really important to know that just because your friends aren't doing it or because it's not a traditional route, you have the right and you have the power to make the decisions for yourself because it's your education, no one else's.
Milan, what about you?
I would say to say yes to everything because I think in college, it's like just say yes to everything your friends do, say yes to everything your school's offering you. Really get out there. Don't just stay in your dorm room, even though that's like so tempting to do because it's scary to put yourself out there. I would also say it's okay to make mistakes. I got my first like C on a test in college, and it was like I thought it was the worst moment of my life. I thought my life was over, and I was like, there's no way I can pass this class now, but it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to ask for help, even with like EdRising competition. Like if you get feedback and it's not what you wanted, like it's okay. These are like only opportunities to like learn and keep growing.
Yeah, Milan, I remember professors telling us we could come visit for office hours. And I'm like, why would I ever want to hang out with a scary professor?
Right.
And then once I did, it's like, these people are kind of cool. It wasn't
Mhm.
scary at all. Well, I want to thank you both for sharing a little bit about, your experience after serving our organization. I want to thank you for serving our organization. I think you both did a tremendous job in leading. Your role at our conference was a huge opportunity to be in front of thousands of students who probably looked up to you and like who are these people up on stage? How do they get up there? But um, I think in talking with you this afternoon, you're two very normal people, but you've had some great experiences, and I wish you all the best of luck in what's next to come for you.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for having us.
I'm going to end with just a couple slides, but first, I'm going to look at the questions here. Um, we got a comment from somebody who says, thank you for being such role models and inspiring educators. So that's a really nice comment. So I want to share that. Who covers the cost for students to attend conferences? How many students can go and how often? So that question, we do provide our teacher leaders with a number of fundraising opportunities. I'm going to guess that it's different in every community. There are probably some schools that put aside some funds as part of their Grow Your Own initiative to provide teachers for some of those opportunities for students to go compete. But I do know many do fundraising activities in addition. Milan or Journey, do you want to share any of the ways that you all were able to fund students to participate in state and national events?
For my school, I was very, very blessed. We spent a lot of time presenting our projects to the school board and have them vote on whether they'll pay for it or not. And blessing to me, they paid for it all 4 years or all 3 years of my high school experience. Now that I'm in college, it's a little different. We don't really have a school board to vote for us. So we do a lot of grant writing and fundraising, I would say that probably our biggest fundraiser that we do is like we do write a lot of grants and research grants, and we implement those research grants into our work so that we're doing research as we receive this money and things like that. We've started another EdRising chapter at a different school, and there was a grant to help with that. And so we just work a lot with grants, and our professors, of course, like that's part of their job is writing grants, so they're happy to help us.
Awesome.
For my chapter, we all just did a bunch of fundraising. I know we like sold like Eileen's cookies. It's like a Midwest thing. So like we sold things. Like some people got donations. I know for like other chapters, they would like work concession stands and things like that, and then like they would get part of the things. So I think it just like depends from school districts. I know a lot of school districts in Omaha also like set money aside for their chapters too to be able to go.
Yeah. As I suspected, but I want to make sure, check with you all. So thank you for those answers, and thank you, Gary, for the question. I'm going to share two more slides, and then we'll wrap up. If there are any more questions you all have who are on the call, feel free to put them in the Q&A tool. Just want to end with this quote, which I think is pretty powerful, which is that GYO, or grow your own, is powerful. One of the State Teachers of the Year in Illinois, Lindsay Jensen, who has been a part of our program, said, when districts reach out for hiring, they want to find candidates who were in Educators Rising, because they know that these students are much more established than the standard new educator. And that just goes to show the strength of our program and the quality of students that we're able to bring into the education field. And I would point you to Milan and Journey this afternoon as two shining examples to that. If you are interested in establishing a chapter in your community, our folks at EdRising, who answer the email community@educatorsrising.org, can give you anything you want. If it's a price quote on curriculum, if it's how to get started. If you prefer not to email, but just fill out a form, we can connect with you that way. And then if you just want to kind of keep abreast of what's happening at the national level with our organization, we're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and X. I want to thank you for joining our webinar. We hope to see you again, as I mentioned, at our website, educatorsrising.org, GYO webinars. We have 7 more planned for the first half of this year. Thank you again. Thank you, Milan. Thank you, Journey. We'll see you next time.